Hello, welcome to Emerging and Enterprising Entrepreneurs, the podcast. I'm your host, Paula Anderson. And for this first episode, I want to give you a background about why this podcast came to be. So, I was in graduate school at the University of Memphis in 2017 until 2021, and I developed a print magazine publication called Memphis Small Business Quarterly. Now, one of the things that I discovered when I was writing this magazine, I interviewed numerous entrepreneurs and small business owners. And one of the key things that I heard over and over and over again is, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. This is not something that I wanted to do. And so once I started listening to entrepreneurs and finding out what their challenges were, I decided that the magazine would be a way to actually highlight the stories of these underrepresented entrepreneurs, but also it could be a vehicle for educating individuals such as students who were interested in becoming an entrepreneur, but really didn't know what it meant to be an entrepreneur. So I'm going to give you a little bit about my own journey as an entrepreneur. So my first start or experience with entrepreneurship started in 1999. I had been working for a company for about 10 years, and I felt that it was time for me to do something different. I felt that I needed to grow. So at that time, I didn't know what the word entrepreneur meant. I never had even heard of the word entrepreneur. So that was something that was not a part of my everyday vocabulary. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about when you have family members that are actually entrepreneurs and you see them doing something and it's like, okay, this is something that's entrepreneurial. However, you don't really know that it is considered to be entrepreneurship. So we may refer to that today as somebody has a side hustle. And so side hustles can turn into businesses. So let's talk about individuals that have started businesses or become entrepreneurs because they just was trying to figure out how to make money. So I'm going to use my own family as an example. So my grandmother was an entrepreneur. She made freeze cups and she also sold candy. Well, I didn't know that she was an entrepreneur. She didn't know that she was an entrepreneur. My aunt was an entrepreneur as well, or is an entrepreneur. So she sold candy, she sold freeze cups, she sold Avon, and now she makes jewelry. She didn't know what entrepreneurship really meant, but what she was trying to do was figure out how to make money. And then, of course, myself. So I worked for corporate America for most of my professional career, but I've always done something entrepreneurial. So even when I was working a full-time job, I still did something on the side. I still had a side hustle. But when I went back to school at the University of Memphis is when I really understood and learned what the definition of entrepreneurship is. And so it's being able to solve a problem based off of a pain. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a background about this podcast because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on those entrepreneurs in the areas of construction, legal, and healthcare. And we're going to be giving them an opportunity to share their stories. So over the last 7 years, I've written several articles about entrepreneurs in various industries. And some of the challenges that they faced was they did not have access to capital. And then, of course, they did not have the support from family and friends. And then just some of the systemic barriers that we may face. So we know that today we're dealing with the elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And while some may think that these programs were discriminatory, it was actually designed to give African Americans, Asian Americans, and Latino Americans a hand up because some of the programs that we were a part of, it was just to help us to grow because we are still considered to be a minority in this country. So this concludes the first portion of this first episode of Emerging and Enterprise Entrepreneurs the podcast. Coming up in segment 2, we're going to be talking about 5 areas focused on the research that I did of entrepreneur education.